Good morning, students. I'm Dr. Adams-Gortel, and today we're going to briefly cover Chapter 1 in our text here in the right text, Foundations for Teaching English Language Learners. I'm going to just make sure that we hit upon the important points that you will need in the future. We have two types of students in this class. We have those who are planning or interested in being English language teachers around the world. So you're going to travel, you're going to go to different countries and have that opportunity. The other group of students are those that are planning to teach ESL in a New York State public school, so you will need certification. I'll differentiate when we hit those points on what it's going to be my certified teachers here that you'll need to know a little bit more in detail. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. New York State, we're so antiquated. We still call the degree in the students ESOL. English is a second or other language, and the degree is ESOL and a bachelor's. TESOL would be teaching of ESOL. So this is a TESOL program. Most other states have moved away and now use ELL, English Language Learners, or EAL, English as an additional language. The textbook mostly uses ELLs, so you'll see that quite a bit. When I'm referring to New York State standards, I will use ESOL and TESOL. But let's go ahead and some key points. Right away on page 1, you have your terms. All of you should be familiar, but my New York State certified future teachers, you need to know these. These will come up in your certification exam. So just begin becoming familiar. When you see them come up in the text, go ahead and circle them. As I'm thinking about it, I have posted and I'll continue to post a number of terms every week on Moodle. You'll need to know those for your finals, so make sure that the ones I post that you're really familiar with. Going ahead, and we're going to jump right in on key points and terms. The chapter begins talking about and defining English language learners. You can read all that by yourself, and labeling and how we label. It also talks about, jumping ahead to page 6 and 7, the trends of ELLs in the U.S. and how much we've grown with our immigration and who we're servicing in our schools. It also talks about the demographics, that usually our largest native speaker is from countries that speak Spanish. So we think about that when you think about other languages you want to study, that having Spanish could be super helpful. I think the page it's on page 11, followed by Vietnamese, Chinese, and Arabic. So for those of you that have a little bit of those languages, you'll find that's very advantageous. I do want to draw your attention to page 12. We have the acronym WIDA. Is it on page 12? Yes. Which are the proficiency levels you will see generally in curriculum across the U.S. And they're called WIDA levels. In New York State, we don't use WIDA. We use ELPD, English Language Proficiency Development. And I do have that posted on Moodle. They're just the proficiency levels. So WIDA uses for low, intermediate, and high. We don't use those terms anymore. We speak euphemistically. So WIDAs on page 12 are entering. So it's all always level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lowest being least proficient, 1 least proficient, 5 most proficient. So level 1 is entering, 2 is beginning, 3 is developing, 4 is expanding, 5 is bridging. New York State, for ELPD levels and certification teachers, you'll need to know this. Your level 1 we call entering, level 2 is emerging, level 3 is transitioning, level 4 is expanding, and then level 5 is commanding. So we'll go over this, and you've already seen this probably, and I posted it. Just become familiar with those proficiency levels 1 through 5, knowing that level 1 really is a non-speaker, and level 5 is you're really proficient. Talks a little bit about educational achievement and special consideration. I do want to make note of the more common occurrence of SIFE students. That's SIFE. And we're seeing these more in our public schools, especially here in Rochester. These are students, with interrupted formal F education. SIFE students with interrupted formal education. What that means is these students that are coming in maybe went to school in their home country, Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, for grades kindergarten 1, 2, and then there was some type of political strife, there was some type of war, there was some type of situation that prevented them from going to school, and they were pulled out of that formal school. and they've missed not weeks, months, but sometimes it's years. And they come to the US as maybe refugees. They're put in our public schools. So maybe we have a 11-year-old put into 5th or 6th grade, but he hasn't had formal education since 2nd grade. So he's called a SIFE, a student with interrupted formal education. And you'll see this term comes up quite a bit. I just wanted you to be familiar with it. Let's see, let's jump on to other factors. Page 19 talks about cultural adjustment issues. We've talked about acculturation quite a bit if you've taken other classes. You can read this. And and then the chapter finishes really with bilingualism. Then we have our summary. I just want to take a minute for those of you who are new to this area of TESOL. Just quickly the difference between bilingual ed and TESOL. Both programs are great. Bilingual ed was first here in the US, and we still have many bilingual programs. The difference is in bilingual ed, all your students and the teacher share the same language. So the students and the teacher share the common native or heritage language. So let's say, for example, Spanish. And what they do is they use that native language to teach the target language. So in bilingual ed, in order to learn English, you're using Spanish to teach English. This is the way most of us learned our foreign language in an American school. We used our shared native language to teach that target language. That's bilingual ed. What we're doing here is in TESOL, which is a little bit of a newer field, we use the target language to teach the target language. So our target language in this case is English. So all our students in our classroom, they can come from different backgrounds, that we can have many different languages in our classroom, because it's not important that they share a language, because the teacher uses English to teach English. The advantage of the bilingual program is that students preserve their heritage language, which is super important. We know that's important. They use their heritage language as they're learning English. They can use Spanish. They can build those skills. There's a camaraderie. The problem is, or the challenge is, it's a little bit slower to learn that target language because you're using your native language to get around those issues. In a TESOL program, you're using the target language 100% of the time. You're speaking English almost all the time. So you're learning a lot more quickly, but many times those students lose their native language skills, especially the writing skills. So there are definitely advantages and disadvantages. We can see many more students of different languages in a TESOL program. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood just the fundamental differences of those. Okay, I think that's it. Make sure you read the summary, and that's the quick review of Chapter 1. Thanks.